There's been several shots fired out in that area. Let's listen into the media briefing right now.
It's hard to have to stand before you today because we've had an incident here in Collierville that has been occurring all over the country. Today at 1:30 hours or 1:30 p.m. Our dispatch received a call of an active shooter occurring at the Kroger behind us. At 1:34, the first car arrived on the scene. Immediately, our cars began to flood the area to secure the scene. As we entered the building, there were multiple people shot. Our SWAT team, along with patrol officers and our command staff members, began the process of going aisle to aisle, room to room, clearing, bringing employees out that were in hiding, and helping the victims that were injured. At this time, we still have a couple of active scenes that we are working. The suspected shooter's vehicle is in the parking lot, and we are waiting on some additional equipment to get here to be able to safely check that vehicle, as well as some property that's on him. At this time, the shooter is deceased. We believe that's going to be from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We have 13 victims. Our hearts go out to those that were injured. We do have one fatality, and our thoughts and prayers are with those family members. We had, like I said, we had 13 victims that we know of at this time. Now, please bear with me and know that this situation is probably going to change, and we'll do another update, another briefing, probably in 3 hours, somewhere in that range, and we'll update you. But we know that we've had 12 victims that were transported from this scene, and we also know that we've had at least one additional walk up to local hospitals. Today I have Assistant Chief Jeff Ablin with me, our Fire Chief at Collierville, Chief Billings, his Assistant Chief King, Assistant Special Agent in Charge Jeremy Baker with the FBI. We have Colonel Smith with MPD, Chief Inspector Derek Mills with Shelby County. And I can't say enough about the cooperation and the help. And as bad as this scene is, and it's horrific. I've been involved in this for 34 years, and I've never seen anything like it. But our teams came together and worked together. That's not just the law enforcement agencies, but the fire. Sometimes there's a delay. There was no delay with our firemen coming into that scene with us. We just trained on this back 2 months ago at Collierville High School. So it is, just like I said, it's with a broken heart that I have to stand here before you today. So please keep the families in your prayers. Keep the folks from this Kroger. We have a representative from Kroger here as well. I'm not sure if they're going to give a statement at this point, but everything is preliminary. So with that, I'll open it up for just a couple of real quick questions. One at a time.
Were there 2 shooters or only one?
At this point in the investigation, there appears to be one shooter.
And the deceased person, was that the shooter or was that the victim?
Both. We have one victim and then one shooter that's DOA at this point.
And so just to clarify, 13 people shot, and of those, 12 injured and 1 dead, correct?
Right.
Not counting the shooter.
At this point.
Okay.
Now remember, we're still receiving information that's coming in from other parts. Even we've got some reports there may have been some walk-ups in Fayette County with Fayette County Ambulance Service. So we're trying to confirm that information now. But this, like I said, this was a joint effort. Chief Billings can speak more to the number of ambulances and where they come from, but every city around came and supported the sheriff. Right now, that crime scene is huge, and it's being worked by the FBI's evidence response team. TBI's got agents en route. The Collierville Police Department Detective Division, or our Criminal Investigative Division, is in there, and the Sheriff's Office. So it's going to take a little bit to know exactly what happened.
Chief, was the shooter an employee or do you know yet?
That's part of the ongoing investigation. That's something that we don't need to talk about.
Black SUV connected to the shooter?
It's all still under investigation.
Were there any children who were injured, any minors?
I do not have any information on that at this point. Not to my knowledge, but
Can you give a range of the extent of injuries from minor to severe?
Very serious injuries.
Chief, do you have any idea how many people were in the store at the time?
I do not at this point, but we know that we have quite a few witnesses. We're bringing in additional detectives for people that were in the store. There were numerous employees that were working. I know we found people hiding in freezers and in locked offices, and they were doing what they had been trained to do: run, hide, fight. And so, I hate that we had to do it here.
Can you give us an idea found inside the store or outside?
That's part of the investigation. I don't want to get into that.
Can you give us an idea? Can you give us an idea of what kind of weapon he was using?
No.
I'm saying it was big.
I'm not going to go into that at this point. Let's get through the investigation. Remember, we're 2 hours away from the most horrific event that's occurred in Collierville history.
Was there any incident that happened prior to the shooting in the altercation?
That's part of this investigation.
Chief, there's an image circulating on social media about a person who is suspected to be the suspect on the top of the building. Can you confirm or deny that?
I cannot. I can tell you this. I was part of a team that extricated an employee of Kroger from the top of the building, so it's more than likely going to be a Kroger employee that was working on the roof.
Chief, what's just the aftermath of this for this community, these employees you were just mentioning? How does this rank in Collierville history right now with what you're all dealing with right now?
I mean, obviously, it's like every other community in the country. It's horrific. We hate that it happened, but this is one of the most resilient communities in America, and one of the best police departments. I'm very thankful. I watched guys that ran into the front of that building, knowing that historically, not in this case, but historically, many of these shooters have very high-powered rifles, and not one of them hesitated going in that front door.
Chief, we saw you. Were you meeting with the employees over here, and are they okay? How are they responding?
I have met with some as we were bringing them out of the building. I have not talked with all of them. So, yes, ma'am. Okay. I tell you what we're going to do. We'll take one more question, and then we're going to pause this for about 3 hours. So, anybody else? One last question. Yes, ma'am.
All the victims are there. One.
No, they're spread out among all the area hospitals.
And because we're getting ready to leave, what equipment are you waiting to need to go in his car? You need some equipment to check the
No,
car.
that's part of the investigation. So we're going to hold that right now. What we don't want to do is create unnecessary fear. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you.
All right, so we got to hear the entire briefing. Of course, video freezing there a few times, but that's part of what we do here on Live Now from Fox. We're live, run, unfiltered, and at least we got to hear the entire press briefing as police did, again, confirm 13 people shot inside of this Kroger supermarket. We're bringing in Live Now from Fox's Daytona Everett again, as again, Daytona, they said it was a brave action of their police to run into this grocery store while there was an active shooter situation.
Yeah, Christy, definitely a light at the end of the tunnel for that. Just to recap some of what he said right there, we know this all took place around 1:30 local time. They got reports of an active shooter. Just 4 minutes later is when that first car arrived on scene. Pretty outstanding timing on their part. Multiple people were reported shot. They were bringing employees out who were hiding right now. And I found this interesting, Christy. There was people hiding inside of the freezers. There were people hiding inside of locked offices. Clearly a really scary situation for everyone who was involved there inside of that Kroger. We do know that the suspected shooter's vehicle is still in the parking lot right now. They didn't answer a whole lot of other questions about that, but we do know the shooter is deceased at this time. They say they believe it is self-inflicted gunshot wounds. Again, like you said, 13 victims at this time, 1 fatality. They're expecting another update in 3 hours. 12 of those victims have been transported to the hospital with pretty critical injuries as well. Again, just to reiterate, the no delay when it comes to these ambulances arriving to the scene possibly could be what makes some of these victims survive in these circumstances, Christy. They're talking to witnesses right now. They're speaking to anyone who is at the scene. They even asked about that situation on the roof that I was telling you about before. They said that was possibly a Kroger employee who may have just been working on the roof at this time. So still a lot of questions, but he kind of rounded it out saying this is a horrific situation, something that a lot of cities are dealing with at this time, but that this community is resilient and they're going to get through it. But we'll be waiting for that next one in about 3 hours here.
All right, Daytona Everett, again, thanks for helping break down exactly what we heard. As she just mentioned, too, we are taking a live look at these pictures of people in the parking lot. Again, police are going to have a lengthy investigation in front of them. They're going to have to talk with each and every single one of these witnesses, write down each of their stories of what they saw unfold here this afternoon. And again, if there's more updates on the number of victims, because again, we do know 13 people shot, 12 of them being taken to the hospital. We're hearing there is possibly other walk-up victims as well. So as police had mentioned, they're planning on maybe updating everyone in another 3 hours. We'll be on top of this story and its developments for you right here on Live Now from Fox. What we're going to do, step away for a brief break and continue to bring you more of these top stories, breaking news pieces that we have across our country. Again, our viewers with us know we're live, we're raw and unfiltered, and if it's breaking somewhere, we are on top of it here for you. So again, going to be going out to a quick break. More to come here just moments away.
Are spread out at area hospitals, so it's very possible that some are going to be not here at Regional 1, and we know we have many other hospitals in the Mid-South area, including one in Collierville that they could be at. So just setting the scene for what we have here right now, we still have one ambulance parked outside here, and we have a couple of others here, but it does look a little different than it did just about a half an hour ago before Chief Lane spoke. At that point, we had 8 lined up here, and that does seem to be cleared out. And we still have some hospital staff that are waiting out front. They seem to be like they're waiting for more patients to arrive. I still am hearing, I don't know if you all can hear that, the helicopter overhead, but not as much action right here out front over the last few minutes. We did hear from Chief Lane that he called these very serious injuries. So we just don't know what is happening on the inside right now, but we did earlier see several patients being brought in stretchers. One thing that might explain why we've seen 8 ambulances, but they're saying there's more victims than that. I did see one ambulance that had 2 people that were both taken into the hospital on stretchers just coming out of that one ambulance. So we're continuing to monitor. April and Steph, I'll send it back to you.
Right. That's what Chief Lane said, and that was honestly, with as quickly as they did lock down the situation and tell us that one shooter was down, that was sort of an assumption that this person had taken their own life. Was this domestic in nature? There's no telling. We don't know. We have no earthly idea why this would happen on a Thursday afternoon, right after lunch, in the heart of Collierville, Tennessee. There's no explanation behind it right now. And it may take quite some time, Merle, before we have an understanding of why this might have happened, what that shooter's motive may be, or may have been in this instance. I did see, Merle, I wanted to point out too, Sheriff Floyd Bonner is somewhere in that mix. He's been here for a little while too. He was behind the command center for quite some time. I thought he might make his way to the media briefing, but I would imagine he's still being filled in as well by his deputies, who were also some of the first to arrive here. His men were here very, very quickly.
His whereabouts in that location, and they may feel that he tried to discard or hide or destroy evidence.
And that
Yes, Merle, this is going to be quite a scene, and this entire area is going to be on lockdown for quite some time. This is not something I see opening up at any point before midnight, even if it opens up then. This is going to be because the crime scene is so large, they're going to guard this scene, keep people here for a while as they look for every scrap of evidence to possibly explain why this would happen.
We may keep an eye on these Kroger employees.
Yeah, they've been walking across the street.
Hmm.